Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you both for being before our committee today to bring up such an important um, uh, legislation, HJ Res 37. Very important issue, and I'm glad that we're able to have a discussion on this issue today. What is happening right now in Yemen is unspeakable. And I'm going to cite a few statistics. More than 10,000 people killed, 2 million displaced, 1.8 children with acute malnutrition. And those numbers don't begin to identify the traumatic suffering that nearly 16 million people have gone through. This is a crisis that deserves our attention. But more than that, we need to take responsibility for our part in it. The conflict in Yemen is complex. The United States is not solely responsible for this conflict. Our Saudi Arabia partners aren't either. But Saudi Arabia's involvement in the conflict means that Saudi Arabia has a responsibility. And U.S. military support for the Saudi-led coalition means that we do too. We have strategic interests in the Middle East. One of those interests, as we all know, is countering Iranian aggression. Saudi Arabia is an important partner in that effort, but that doesn't mean that we abandon our principles. It does not mean that we turn a blind eye on the way that the Saudi-led coalition is waging this war. We have seen unacceptable civilian casualties. Badly needed humanitarian supplies have been blocked. And there comes a time when enough is enough. So I'm glad that we are considering this resolution today because we can't continue to look the other way at the case of Saudi Arabia and Yemen in isolation. There has been a pattern of behavior in this administration, whether it is cozying up to Vladimir Putin or ignoring human rights violations in North Korea and China, or selling our democracy in Honduras, and allowing a corrupt government in Guatemala to destroy the rule of law to escape prosecution. Time and time again, we have seen this administration turn their back on democracy and human rights, time and time again. Look the other way when it is convenient. And when we do that, we don't just betray our American values, we also undermine our long-term strategic plans. Because when governments steal from their people, when they repress their people, we see the rise of extremism, criminality, and instability. We're seeing that crisis in our southern border caused by the root causes of rampant government corruption in the Northern Triangle. And that impacts our national security that we are doing today in part of getting back to a foreign policy that is smart and principled. That's what this resolution does. We're getting back to those principles. And I thank my colleagues for bringing this forward in this legislation.
Thank you.
And I yield back.